Lingering Glow is a team archetype in the game that is based on the burn status. The more burn and halo, which is a better version of burn, inflicted on the enemies, the more Lingering Glow will accumulate. The accumulated Lingering Glow will then be used as a threshold by the main DPS of the team to deal massive damage. Note that Lingering Glow is mutually exclusive with Blood Tide, which means that both cannot exist at the same time in the battlefield. The Lingering Glow team consists of a main DPS of your choice, Isolde, a sub-DPS or support of your choice, and Marsha. The main DPS can either be Beryl or Spathodea, while the sub-DPS or support can either be Lorentz Butterfly or Flutterpage. Everyone has their own roles in the team, and we will discuss them one by one, starting from the main DPS of the team, which is Beryl and Spathodea. Let us start with Beryl. Beryl is the premier main DPS for the Lingering Glow archetype. Beryl has mainly two important things going on: her force field mirrored from above, and her area of effect follow-up attacks, Destined Doom. The first thing you will notice when using Beryl is that you can choose two emanation crystals at the start of the battle. This is Beryl deploying her force field at the start of the battle. There are three types of crystals she can choose: Emanation of Blue, where all allies' follow-up attacks will inflict Halo, and Beryl will cast more follow-up attacks. Emanation of Purple, where all allies' actively casted attacks will inflict Halo, and Beryl's follow-up attacks will deal more mental damage. And Emanation of Green, where all allies' highly ranked incantations will inflict Halo, and Beryl's follow-up attack gain rank up. Now, let's talk about her follow-up attacks. Destined Doom is a mass attack that also deals additional damage to the enemy with the highest Halo stacks. The damage of her follow-up attacks can be further increased depending on how many fusion stacks Beryl has, up to 20 stacks. We will discuss her fusion buff shortly after this. Additionally, she gains special effects depending on the emanation crystals you have picked at the start of the battle. If you pick blue crystals, she will have additional chances to cast her follow-up attack one additional time after casting one. If you pick purple crystals, her damage further scales depending on the amount of accumulated Lingering Glow and additional 0.4% mental damage per 1 point of Lingering Glow. She will gain another additional 0.4% mental damage per 1 point of Lingering Glow on top of the previous 0.4% on the enemy with the highest Halo stacks. If you pick green crystals, her follow-up attacks will gain additional rank and deal more damage. The main way to trigger her follow-up attacks, which are her main damage source, is via accumulated Lingering Glow. For every 150 points of Lingering Glow accumulated, after any allied action, Beryl will cast said follow-up attack once. There are two ways to decrease the point requirement to cast her follow-up attacks, which are via her second incantation skill and her precast incantation skill unless you choose the green crystal. Her second incantation, Nothing Unexpected, grants her Vision, which reduces the point requirement by 50. While Vision is stackable, the point reduction is not stackable. She will lose one stack of Vision after she casts her follow-up attack once. On the other hand, the precast incantation Clairvoyant Prism, which will be generated automatically at the start of the round starting from the second round, has different effects depending on the emanation crystals you have picked at the start of the battle. If you pick the blue crystals, using Clairvoyant Prism will increase accumulation count of her follow-up attack. It basically means that you need 150 points of Lingering Glow minus the accumulation count to cast the follow-up attack, assuming no vision stacks during the round. If you pick the purple crystals, using Clairvoyant Prism will grant Beryl stacks of vision. If you pick the green crystals, using Clairvoyant Prism will grant one additional rank to your incantations before the AP area resolves. Of course, being a Lingering Glow character, she is able to inflict burn to the enemies, or rather, she has the superior version of burn, which is called Halo. She mainly inflicts Halo via her first incantation skill, Blaze Through the Lands. Her force field also causes allies to inflict Halo to the enemies, as well as per mentioned in the previous section. Other than Beryl, we can also use Spathodea as our main DPS for the Lingering Glow team. Different from Beryl, whose main damage is from her area of effect follow-up attacks, Spathodea's main damage is from her single target ultimate. Her ultimate damage mainly scales with the amount of accumulated lingering glow and the burn stacks on the enemy. She gains additional 40% critical damage if the enemy has at least 15 stacks of burn, 2% ultimate might for every burn stack on the enemy, and 35% reality damage for every 10 points of lingering glow. Furthermore, she can also boost her ultimate damage by using her second incantation skill, where one of the effects is that she will gain acceleration, which will increase the ultimate's critical hit rate by 5% and attack by 3%. Acceleration can be stacked up to 10 times and will be removed once Spathodea casts her ultimate. She herself can also inflict burn on the enemy. Her insight automatically makes her inflict 6 stacks of burn to the enemy before she attacks said enemy. Her first incantation also inflicts burn stacks, and her second incantation makes her gain pre-ignition, which grants additional stacks of burn when attacking. Furthermore, using her second incantation also grants her a precast incantation of her first incantation for the next round. She can only generate one precast incantation per round. However, one thing that differs her from Beryl is that Spathodea is able to increase burn stack limits on the enemies. We have discussed the two main DPS of the Lingering Glow archetype. Now, let us discuss the second slot of the Lingering Glow team, which is none other than Isolde. Isolde is one of the core binders of the Lingering Glow team. The reason why she is one of the core is because of her unique positive statuses, which are Prelude, Interlude, or Finale. These positive statuses will grant all allies 3 stacks of pre-ignition at the start of the round. She will start the battle with the Prelude status and slowly upgrade said status to Interlude and eventually to Finale. To upgrade her Prelude and Interlude statuses to Finale status, she needs to gain Hit. Hit is obtained when the burn stacks from the enemies are resolved. Gaining Hit is very easy, as 50% of burn and halo stacks will be resolved at the end of the round. Since everyone in the Lingering Glow team can inflict either burn or halo, this is not an issue for Isolde. When she gains Interlude status, she now can cast a follow-up attack Intermezzo when the highest enemy burn stack reaches 6 or above. The damage of said follow-up attack scales with the accumulated Lingering Glow. Furthermore, she also grants Archetype to all allies, which is an additional damage dealt buff. When she gains Finale status, her follow-up attack deals more additional damage. The previous buff Archetype is upgraded to Apoggiatura, which is still the same additional damage dealt buff, but it scales with accumulated Lingering Glow, making her buff significantly stronger. Additionally, other than buffing allies' damage output through her positive statuses, her second incantation skill is also useful to increase their damage output. Desired Freedom inflicts critical defense reduction, mental defense reduction, and reality defense reduction to all enemies. Similar to other Lingering Glow characters as well, she can also inflict burn. Other than her granting pre-ignition to all allies, she can inflict burn via her first incantation skill and her ultimate. The third slot for the Lingering Glow team is either Lorentz Butterfly or Flutterpage. While Lorentz Butterfly is the best in slot, Flutterpage also performs excellently in this team archetype if you use Beryl. Let us discuss them one by one and see how they differ in playstyle. We will start with Lorentz Butterfly, who is the new character in the version 3.5. To put it simply, Lorentz pushes the Lingering Glow archetype to the absolute limit. She has 3 types of support capabilities and also damage dealing capability, which we will be discussing one by one. Her first type of support capability is that Lorentz Butterfly makes everyone in the team AP generous, as she grants 1 Moxie to all Lingering Glow allies at the end of the round if they do not use ultimate. This is very good to make everyone cast ultimate even earlier. Beryl herself can gain 1 Moxie at the end of the round if there are at least 60 accumulated Lingering Glow, while Isolde can also gain 1 Moxie per Intermezzo casted if there are at least 150 points of accumulated Lingering Glow. Marsha can also gain 1 Moxie per passive shield proc when being attacked. While Spathodea cannot passively gain Moxie, she can have 2 extra Moxie reserves. The additional Moxie granted by Lorentz is very much welcome so that all allies can cycle their ultimate faster. Additionally, all Lingering Glow allies' ultimate will not take space in the spell dock anymore. This is great to cycle the incantation you need to use, since your spell dock can have more incantation skills without being filled up with allies' ultimate. Her second type of support capability is that she can passively buff all allies' damage output similar to that of Isolde. Enemies' burn stat limits are increased so that the team can accumulate more Lingering Glow. Lorentz Butterfly grants damage bonus and incantation might to all allies, and the percentage amount of buff scales with accumulated Lingering Glow and the amount of Lingering Glow allies in the battle. Furthermore, she can also provide the Igniting Wing Beat buff to all Lingering Glow allies through her second incantation skill Chaos Criteria. All attacks will inflict 1 additional burn stat if they have said buff. Her third type of support capability is through her ultimate. The Unstable Dynamical System grants 1 extra action point and duplicates a desired incantation of your choice that is available in the spell dock. The duplicated incantations will be provided in the next round after using her ultimate, and this incantation will not cost any action point if used, albeit no Moxie will be granted. In this team, she will usually duplicate Beryl's second incantation Nothing Unexpected at the earlier round so that Beryl can stack more vision. Then she will duplicate her own first incantation skill, the Primer's Flutter, which we will be discussing next. Her damage dealing capability comes in the form of her first incantation skill. The Primer's Flutter is a one target attack that inflicts burn before attacking. The unique thing about this incantation is that it will deal additional static genesis damage based on the total damage output in the round before this incantation is used. Furthermore, it also scales with the accumulated Lingering Glow. This is how Lorentz will be able to deal huge damage, as you will duplicate her first incantation also. The additional static genesis damage will become higher when either Beryl can cast many follow-up attacks in a single round, or Spathodea using her ultimate after accumulating enough buffs and Lingering Glow as well before Lorentz Butterfly uses her first incantation. However, if you do not have Lorentz Butterfly, there is no need for concern, because you can use Flutterpage instead. This only works if you are using Beryl as your main DPS, since the main damage source for Beryl is her follow-up attacks. Spathodea, on the other hand, is not able to cast follow-up attacks, so she does not really benefit from having Flutterpage in her team. Flutterpage is a support mainly for the follow-up attack archetype. She has her own force field that buffs allies' follow-up attack damage output. She has 3 stages of force field, which are Paper Parade, Wave of Sheets, and Adieu Mother Earth. The state of her force field depends on how many gust stacks he has accumulated at the start of the round. Flutterpage can gain 1 stack of gust when any allies use any action, including follow-up attacks. Flutterpage can also gain several stacks of gust by using her first incantation skill, but usually she does not need to use that incantation skill to reach the minimum requirement getting to her third stage of force field. Adieu Mother Earth needs at least 25 stacks of gust, which is very easy to achieve as Beryl, Isolde, and Marsha frequently do actions in a single round. Additionally, similar to that of Lorentz Butterfly, Flutterpage also provides extra action points to the team by using her second incantation skill, which also helps a lot to accumulate gust. The final slot for the Lingering Glow team is none other than Marsha, the premier sustain of Lingering Glow. She is also one of the core binders of the Lingering Glow team. Other than spreading burn like the others, Marsha has 2 support capabilities and 1 sustain capability, and we will be discussing this one by one. Her first support capability is via her ultimate Violence Begets Violence, where she provides Discipline Force buff to all allies. Said buff provides critical rate, access conversion of critical rate to critical damage, incantation might, and critical damage. This buff is obtained through the conversion of Pain's Recompense, which is Marsha's personal buff obtained via her incantations. Her first incantation, Virtue of Restraint, directly grants her Pain's Recompense after actively using it, while the second incantation requires you to have frontline care to be consumed to gain Pain's Recompense. However, most of the time, you do not need to use her incantations since you will gain 2 stacks of frontline care at the start of every round. Frontline care will be consumed automatically when enemies attack your allies. Since Discipline Force can only be stacked 5 times, you only need 2 or 3 rounds to gain 5 stacks of Pain's Recompense. Her second support capability is via her Morning Prayer buff from her Insight. Said buff expands the maximum limit of Lingering Glow accumulation, increases burn stat limits, and grants critical damage to all allies that scales with the accumulated Lingering Glow. Her sustain capability is via her passive skills. As mentioned earlier, she gains 2 stacks of frontline care at the start of the round. When enemies attack any allies, Marsha will automatically consume her frontline care and cast her second incantation Burden Unspoken. She will also gain 1 Moxie at the same time. Furthermore, when consuming frontline care, Marsha will dispel 1 type of debuffs inflicted on all allies. Additionally, her shields grant damage taken reduction as well as prevent 1 control for all allies every round. However, if you do not have Marsha, you can use Fatutu as your sustain. Similar to that of Flutterpage, where Fatutu does not synergize well with Spathodea, Fatutu works well together with Beryl. The reason is also the same. It is because Beryl's main damage source is her follow-up attacks, and Fatutu is a sustain character dedicated to the follow-up attack archetype. Her first incantation inflicts Spirit Shell debuff to an enemy, which will boost allies' follow-up attack damage output. Similar to Marsha, by using her first incantation, Fatutu is able to dispel 1 type of debuffs from all allies. Fatutu can also trigger her first incantation in the form of follow-up attack after she has deployed and or retrieve her Spirit Shell 7 times. Now, we will discuss the skill cycle for this team. We will not be discussing the skill cycle of the Lingering Glow team using non-Lingering Glow characters like Flutterpage or Fatutu. Therefore, we will only focus on 2 teams, which are Beryl's team and Spathodea's team. However, before that, we need to understand what the priority of this team is. What we want to focus on are the buffs or debuffs for a limited amount of rounds provided by all allies. Burn stacks are also important as well, but that is not an issue with the full Lingering Glow team. Therefore, I will roughly list out all the buffs or debuffs as follows. Vision is Beryl's self-buff that makes her follow-up attacks cost less accumulated amount of Lingering Glow and also deal more damage. The sources for this buff are her second incantation Nothing Unexpected and her Precast incantation Clairvoyant Prism. On the other hand, Halo is Beryl's superior version of Burn and is mainly inflicted from her first incantation Blaze Through the Lands. Exhilaration from Spathodea. Exhilaration is Spathodea's self-buff that increases her ultimate's critical rate and attack. The source for this buff is her second incantation Ignition Point. The Igniting Wing Beat from Lorentz Butterfly. This is Lorentz Butterfly's buff that causes all Lingering Glow allies to inflict 1 additional stack of burn when attacking. This buff lasts for 2 or 3 rounds, depending on the incantation rank. The source for this buff is her second incantation Chaos Criteria. Desired Freedom from Isolde. This is Isolde's second incantation, which inflicts critical defense reduction, reality defense reduction, and mental defense reduction to all enemies that last for 2 rounds. And finally, Pain's Recompense from Marsha. This is Marsha's self-buff. It is not useful for her in particular, but once she uses her ultimate Violence Begets Violence, she will convert up to 5 stacks of her Pain's Recompense into Discipline Force and grants the same stacks of said converted buff to all allies that last for 3 rounds. The sources for Marsha's self-buff are via her first incantation Virtue of Restraint and consuming frontline care. These 4 buffs and or debuffs are the ones that we need to manage in the battle. They last for a limited amount of rounds or usage, so we have to pay attention to those. Of course, ideally speaking, we want the buffs or debuffs to have 100% uptime, but missing 1 or 2 is not a big issue. Realistically speaking, we only need to pay attention to the first 2 main things I have mentioned previously, which are Vision and Burn or Halo stacks for Beryl and Exhilaration stacks for Spathodea. With that being said, here are the skill cycles for Beryl's team. Before the first round, you are prompted to choose 2 Emanation Crystals for Beryl's Force Field. Choose the 2 purple crystals to proceed. If you are using Flutterpage instead of Lorentz Butterfly, choose 2 blue crystals instead. After choosing your Emanation Crystals, in the first round, you are to build up Beryl and Lorentz Butterfly so they can use their ultimate on the second round. You can see that Beryl has 1 Moxie while Lorentz Butterfly has 2 Moxie. Proceed to use Beryl's second incantation Nothing Unexpected, Lorentz Butterfly's second incantation Chaos Criteria, and Isolde's second incantation Desired Freedom in any order, before using Beryl's first incantation Blaze Through the Lands. With this setup, Beryl will have 3 Moxie after using her incantations, and she will gain 2 more Moxie at the end of the round from her insight, where she gains 1 Moxie if there are at least 60 accumulated stacks of Lingering Glow, and Lorentz Butterfly's insight granting or Lingering Glow allies 1 Moxie if they do not use ultimate. In the second round, our main goal is to get as many stacks of vision as possible for Beryl. Therefore, we ought to duplicate Beryl's second incantation skill. Some say to duplicate Lorentz Butterfly's first incantation skill instead, but doing either is fine. You can stack more burn if you duplicate Lorentz Butterfly's incantation at the cost of less vision stacks, but some people will not mind since Beryl's Precast incantation will provide her vision stack. Proceed to use Beryl's Precast incantation, then Lorentz Butterfly's ultimate to duplicate Beryl's second incantation, then Beryl's ultimate. For the remaining 2 action points, use one of Beryl's incantations and Lorentz Butterfly first incantation. Use Beryl first incantation if you need more Halo stacks, or use Beryl's second incantation if you need more vision stacks. In the third round, we will have 5 action points that can be used. Isolde's debuffs run out at the start of this round, so it is time to use her second incantation again. Alternatively, if her ultimate is up, you can use her ultimate instead of her second incantation for intermezzo burst damage, but you will lose the debuffs uptime on Isolde's second incantation. Lorentz Butterfly's buff also runs out at the start of this round, so use her second incantation as well. Marsha's ultimate should be ready at this point, so we can use her ultimate too. Proceed to also use Beryl's Precast incantation and her duplicated incantation. Use one of Beryl's incantations in the 4th action point slot, and use Lorentz Butterfly's first incantation at the end so that both will have 5 Moxie in total. Again, which Beryl's incantation should be used depends on the Halo stacks on the enemies and the vision stacks on Beryl. Starting from the 4th round onwards, repeat the whole process again, starting from the cycle in the 2nd round. However, when Lorentz Butterfly uses her ultimate, proceed to duplicate her first incantation instead, as Beryl will have enough vision stacks for the rest of the battle. This cycle is fairly simple, but not the most effective, as it misses 1 stack of Pain's recompense and you cannot use Isolde's ultimate without having 100% uptime on her debuffs. 1 stack of Pain's recompense missing means that the Discipline Force buff will have 1% less incantation might and 2.5% less critical damage buff. On the other hand, not using Isolde's ultimate means that you will lose out some DPS output from Isolde. You can, however, add a buffer round so that you can use Isolde's ultimate and gain 1 more stack of Pain's recompense, but the cycle will be longer. If you are using Spathodea as your main DPS, her skill cycles are also similar to that of Beryl, but you need 1 round buffer in the cycle, especially if you do not have P1 Lorentz Butterfly. In the first round, you are to build out Spathodea and Lorentz Butterfly, so Spathodea can use her ultimate on the 3rd round, while Lorentz Butterfly can use her ultimate on the 2nd round. Spathodea cannot get her ultimate on the 2nd round, unlike Beryl, because Beryl starts the battle with 1 Moxie and will gain another Moxie at the end of the round. As you can see, Spathodea does not start with any Moxie, and she can only gain 1 Moxie from Lorentz Butterfly at the end of the round, which is not enough for Spathodea to cast her ultimate. Proceed to use Lorentz Butterfly's second incantation, either Marsha's first incantation or Isolde's first incantation, and both of Spathodea's incantations. Please ensure Marsha has her ultimate ready in the 3rd round, so if the enemies do not attack in the 1st and or 2nd round, it is better to use her incantation instead of Isolde's first incantation. Also, if in the 1st round you are able to get at least 150 accumulated Lingering Glow, you do not have to use Isolde's incantation at all. With this setup, Lorentz Butterfly will have 5 Moxie at the end of this round. On the other hand, Spathodea will have 3 Moxie, while Isolde will have 2 Moxie at the end of this round. In the 2nd round, proceed to duplicate Spathodea's second incantation with Lorentz Butterfly's ultimate. Use Isolde's second incantation, Spathodea's first incantation, and Lorentz Butterfly's first incantation. With this setup, Spathodea will have 5 Moxie at the end of this round. Marsha will have at least 5 Moxie at the end of this round as well. As a side note, if you are able to get Spathodea's second incantation at 2 star either by tuning or lucky merging, it will be better for Spathodea's damage output. In the 3rd round, we have 5 action points that can be used. Lorentz Butterfly's buff runs out at the start of this round, so use her second incantation first. Afterwards, we proceed to use Marsha's ultimate, Isolde's ultimate, 3 of Spathodea's duplicated incantations, Spathodea's first incantation, and Spathodea's ultimate. Note that Spathodea can store 2 extra Moxie, so you can use her incantation to gain Moxie even when she has 5 Moxie. The 4th round is the buffer round. We cannot do a 2-round cycle due to Lorentz Butterfly only at P0. Spathodea cannot kit up to generate enough Moxie so that she can use her ultimate after Lorentz Butterfly uses her ultimate. Therefore, we need to have a buffer round to ensure Spathodea can have 5 Moxie after Lorentz Butterfly uses her ultimate. During this round, you can use whatever incantation you want, as long as Spathodea will have at least 3 Moxie in the 5th round. You can prepare for Isolde and Marsha's ultimate for the 6th round during the 4th round as well. In the 5th round, we repeat the same cycle starting from the 2nd round again. Without further ado, here are the battle showcases for the Lingering Glow team, one with Beryl and another with Spathodea.
Ich werde meine Pflicht erfüllen. I can hear it. The true one laisse les dérives dans le flot des séphirotes. Mon officier n'est pas un capitaine. Fun, is it? A secret reveal. The overflow of the Sephiroth. Enjoy! Peace and quiet. A sacred charge. There we are. All it takes are some minor changes to the glimpse beneath the rive dans le flot des séphirotes. The true nature of chaos. Could the flap of a butterfly's wings in Brazil stir a tornado in Texas? Cette Fatutu révèle les séphirotes. The tremors of fate. Oh, I do like that look on your face. Peace and quiet. There's strength in restraint. The true nature. Ich definiere sich vor, zu beschützen und zu helfen. Comme la solidarité dans le flot des séphirotes. A new toy. Sensitive to initial conditions. Tu peux la jeter maintenant! La charme d'opère! I will remember the names. A secret reveal. The tremors of fate. A secret reveal. A ego stirred. Just pulls the trigger. It's wrong! A sacred charge. Peace and quiet. Politics are some minor change that glimpse beneath the veil. Reveal on the floor is the true nature of chaos. Could the flap of a butterfly's wings in Brazil stir a tornado in Texas? Cette Fatutu révèle les séphirotes. Fate has revealed itself to you. Oh, I do like that look on your face. There we are. A sacred charge. There's strength in the flame. I remember this. You don't want to miss it. And you took his. Ich vor, zu beschützen und zu helfen. Comme la solidity. The true nature. A new toy. The true nature of chaos. A new toy. Topologically transitive. Mon officier n'est pas un capitaine. I will remember the names. tremors of fate. Sometimes it's just more effective to get physical. Oh, I do like that look on your face. Here to freeze the trigger. Sometimes it's just more effective to get physical. A sacred charge. Peace and quiet. All it takes are some minor changes to the initial condition. A glimpse beneath the veil. Dérive dans les flots des séphirotes. A new toy. With the flap of a butterfly's wings in Brazil, star a tornado in Texas. Cette honteux réveille les séphirotes. Pray, heart in the road ahead. I do like that look on your face. There's strength in her flame. A sacred charge. The true nature of chaos. The true nature. A new toy. The true nature of chaos. Fun, is it?
Soffoca il sangue! Soffoca il sangue!
I will remember your name. A secret reveal. Here to pull the trigger. Sometimes it's just more effective to get physical. Oh, I do like that look on your face. Sometimes it's just more effective to get physical. Ich werde meine Pflicht erfüllen.
I can hear it.
The true nature of chaos.
The strength is part of the training.
That's right!
Fun, is it?
Please, stop this violence.
Anyone feeling cold? That hurts, huh?
Decrypt the Cosmo. An adequate sample.
All it takes are some minor changes to the initial scheme.
Nice practice!
A new toy. Could the flap of a butterfly's wings in Brazil stir a tornado in Texas? Here to freeze the trigger.
There's strength in her training.
A message from the stars. An accurate reading.
The true nature of chaos. A new toy.
Vor, zu beschützen oder die Archetype.
Nice practice! That's right! Nice practice! That's right! Come on, this is the one test!
Topologically transient.
I will remember your name.